Welcome to RPG Blokes. It is a podcast to try and get you into the hobby. If you are middle-aged, slightly older, slightly younger, we're here to try and convince you this is the hobby for you. I'm going to introduce each of the RPG Blokes to you quickly now. To my left, I have Barry, a revelation actually to our gaming group since she joined, what must be about 5 years ago now. I often have said that every table needs a Barry. However, I've since discovered that cloning Barry would be a mistake on so many other levels.
Let them out of the cellar.
I'm not going to dignify any of that with a comment. Hello.
John, who plays far more than is healthy for him. And I think it's only his day job that stops him from completely disappearing into this fantasy world.
Oh, it doesn't stop me. I haven't got a real job, so my mind is
You're there.
Always.
And Stephen, who prides himself on his self-control, limiting his gaming to just 2 days a week, but then also has a 5-day-a-week Baldur's Gate 3 habit. So,
to be honest, I've never played it.
But
Damn it.
it's not what your wife says. Right. And my name is Mark. I'm the host. Okay, so we'll get going. Today we're going to be talking about online versus in-person play, because it's likely that, if you've come this far in our podcast, you've got one big choice to make. Do you play online or do you find somewhere to play in person? So we're just going to talk about each of those and what we feel about them. But let's get going. Okay, so online versus in-person play. So far, the podcasts have been primarily focused at the thought of playing in person, which you can tell that we've got a passion for and that we generally do, but we do play online too. And so let's just discuss the differences between the two. I think describing what online play is exactly and how that might work for you.
Okay. So I ref one game a week online. I play another one online. Even done a couple that ended up on YouTube. So the biggest...
Look out for me. You're there somewhere, right? Online. People will see John playing...
Oh, yeah, it was Dragon Warriors. Grimstream.
Oh, nice.
So pros and cons, to a certain extent, the social aspect can be a bit limited. You've got a microphone discipline to worry about, because talking over each other, much as we can do here if we don't watch ourselves, can block out everything else. Whereas if you're at a table talking amongst yourselves, you can filter stuff a lot easier. Other times your laptop or whatever you're playing on can limit certain aspects of whatever website you're playing through, unless you're doing some. Most of the time I play on Zoom, so it's a straight up camera, microphone setup. That's about it. There's a lot of really, really good aids, especially for refs out there.
Do these cost anything for players? And
some do, some don't.
Yeah.
A lot of them have got like a basic intro bit and then, luxury packages and other bits. So costs will vary. Most of the time that's going to be shouldered by the ref. Some of these things have a subscription, but base level, a microphone, you don't even need a camera.
What about the capability of your machine that you're playing through?
So mine had particular problems when I was playing in it was a Warhammer setting. Not the Warhammer that was the problem, but I think it was Foundry.
Foundry being one of the visual
one that I was having
toolkits
a real
effectively
problem
online.
with. I had to turn everything off. But
resolution issues, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I didn't have the best of systems. So like any online thing, make sure your system's up to it. Be prepared to tailor things, turn off certain functions. But worst case scenario, as long as you can hear each other, you'll be able to play.
And that's the thing, I suppose we were talking about differences, like you pointed out. It's the etiquette and the ability to interact and to be quiet and to let other people have their turn is more important online, because you cannot talk over each other. There's a noise gate, isn't there, that seems to silence everybody else if you're talking and you can't hear anybody else's banter. So it does change the dynamic of a game and becomes very much different to sitting around a table with that organic conversation that you can have at a gaming table. I think it's far more natural, far less effort for the DM, because he can sit back and let the players all just chat and interact. Whereas online, I find when I DM online, there's far more for me to do as a DM. I'm far more of a storyteller. I think it is more effort, but you get more control over the game. But I think in person, everything develops a bit more naturally, and you can form those relationships that we've talked about in previous podcasts far easier. But strangely enough, although that sounds like it's a big disadvantage to online play, it still works.
Yeah. The other major pro about playing online, as opposed to my much preferred sitting at a table, is distance. You get people in different countries. I've gamed with people in Australia. Sometimes some of my group will travel as part of their job, and we can still, if the local timeline is okay, we can still play, which is much more preferable than having to cancel a session because we haven't got enough players or something like that.
And I stay in touch. I think a few of us do with people that we used to know when we were younger that wouldn't be able to make an in-person session. So it's a great way of staying in touch with
players. It's a massive pro, isn't it, for playing online, is that you can play with people throughout the world, really, and certainly friends that aren't local anymore. I mean, it's one of the main reasons to it, apart from the fact it's easier to find a general group, just a pickup group, as they would be called.
Play whatever time you want with whatever type of game you want. There must be.
Yeah, they're all there.
Choices.
I think all the ones you see on YouTube, I've not really seen many that play in person and film themselves. It's mainly people that picked up people online and play as actual play examples. Yeah, it's the main pro, I would say, to it. There are others, of course, which I'm sure we'll talk about, but the connectivity of it, if you're connected online, that's all you really need, an internet connection. I guess the cost of that is the basics and a microphone.
Yeah.
And most laptops and computers come with that sort of thing these days.
So you're likely to have the basic requirements. Some of the systems that might be used, such as the Roll20 or the Foundry.
Yeah, they are
be
optional,
quite intensive.
But again, I think I would say they were a positive. They certainly make the game a lot easier for beginners because you don't really have to know the rules. Then it's all handled for you within the virtual tabletop.
Well, they change the game in many respects.
Yeah, hugely as a DM as well. Yeah.
Through these things, Barry, you don't play online at the moment, whereas the rest of us actually do. But you did, and you played during COVID, really, wasn't it? But COVID supercharged the online role-playing experience for many people. But what was your feelings about it?
Most of us seem to agree that in terms of what you get out of it, that sitting around a table is, generally speaking, preferable. But I'm not exaggerating when I say that, playing online through COVID made a massive difference to my mental health. Just, it was, so I was playing 2 games of poker online a week and 1 game of RPG, which I think was Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, and we did some Cthulhu. And yeah, those 3 things got me through COVID. No ifs, no buts. Without them, my life would have been much, much, much worse. I think one of the other big pros I don't play online, but I play once a week, and I'm fortunate enough to have somewhere local that I can do that. But I think one of the big pros for certainly a significant number of people out there is, if you're that person who struggles with social interaction and has social anxiety, you can engage with this hobby without leaving your house. You can engage, if you're agoraphobic, if you're, physically disabled, if all of those things are extra barriers to you doing it, it is a way to circumvent those. And I think that's where its real value lies.
But in that respect, I've always found online play to be kind of two-edged sword. I think in a way that's great that people like that can play, but isn't it a shame that they're not otherwise encouraged to come into the community and play in person, which would be fantastic.
I mean, I think I'd like to think they are encouraged, but we need to remember for some people that is literally impossible. I had a family member who developed really, really bad agoraphobia, and she could not leave her house for like nearly 3 years. For some people, it is the only option, and I think in that respect, I think it's incredibly important.
But it might lead, if you start an online group of people you don't know, and it might lead to you arranging to meet up as an in-person group.
So I think from the perspective of what we're trying to say here, it's fantastic for them, and everybody might have an element within their own personality that is appealing to. But say for instance, you've got an option to play in person around the corner, and you're a bit nervous about doing so, but then the online gaming is there for you. What would you say to somebody that's literally looking at it 50-50? I can play online or I can come in to play in person. Would we all be unanimous in saying...
That's a no-brainer, come in person. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and like I say, unless there is, a very good reason why you can't, I think you'll have a better experience. So, online play is great, but it isn't quite the same. I know there's big pros, like you said, crossing time zones and cultures and stuff like that. That's really cool. No ifs, no buts. But, but for me, I've talked a couple of times about the escapism element of that. And, sometimes that's the escape from your own four walls as well. It's something that gets you out of the house, that gets you around a table with other people, that, there is value to leaving your front door from time to time.
It'd be a shame not to take the opportunity to do that. And because of COVID, that's what really supercharged online playing. Made a lot of it possible.
Yeah, absolutely. It becomes, for me personally, it's a tool of necessity. It's just like we play online because that's what we have to do. I mean, especially in COVID, that's why we already started it. But give it an option.
Our society during COVID survived because of online play. We kept the community together through Discord and continued to play the games online. But as soon as we had the opportunity to, we returned. And I know that was difficult for a lot of people. They found online play and they found that suited them better. And some of them didn't ever return. And I actually know through the grapevine other societies that didn't even recover from COVID and they lost their players to online games. John, you play the most online. And I know that some of your games have been in person, drifted to online, and you've been stuck online because there's certain players that couldn't then come back to play in person. Is that the only reason why you don't bring it back?
Main reason, yeah.
Check out RPG Blokes Plus. It's our premium service where we give you the opportunity to help pay our bills. And we'll guarantee you an episode every week, exclusive live plays and interviews. Now that's got to be worth £3 of anyone's money.
RPG Blokes Plus. Regular episodes for a regular you.
Travel times or modes of transport. Buses can be erratic. Some people don't have cars. People move, like a couple of our fallen comrades. Yeah, shit happens. But
once you're online, it's difficult to then snap back out of it and get things back into person.
Can be, but like you said, rather online than not. We still get the interaction. I find it more when I'm reffing because I'm not technologically astute. Basically, I'm a fuckwit. So I can't use a lot of the functions that a lot of the really, really good websites use. I've got no artistic capability, so maps are, not happening. So it's very theatre of the mind. So again, for me, when I'm reffing, very much all I need is that link and it's talking. The guy that refs for me on Sunday is a fucking legend. He's got this wonderful website set up. There's maps. There's all the functions you want and need. And again, my laptop is not the best quality. So I have to turn off a couple of the bells and whistles, but it's still very functional and it does work. So that said, yes, if we were sat around a table, it would be even easier. But for those that can't make it.
Yeah, in terms of attendance, but to DM, it is sometimes easier, especially with tools like Roll20, I think we're talking about. And
I'd like to cover that. So these give you technical tools allow you to battle board and to place counters.
For games that rely on figures, like D&D, potentially in combat, it makes it infinitely easy.
You find that makes it easier for me?
Yeah,
I prefer theatre of the mind.
Yeah, well, if you're not going for theatre of the mind, like a lot of D&D games are not, people like to see a battle map with their figure on it. It makes that a lot easier and to obviously have the accurate map.
So theatre of mind is descriptive role-playing as opposed to ones which are more map-based, which have an advantage in some ways where if you've got an area of effect of a certain amount, say traditionally a fireball or a grenade or something like that, if you've got a squared or hexagonal map that shows where every character is laid out, you can then show exactly the radius of a healing spell, a blast spell, so people can say, well, if I'm there, I'm behind that cover.
Yeah, it works well for games like Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
Particularly.
So the difference being the way that you'd play online, if you were to go theatre of the mind, you just need Zoom potentially and maybe an
Absolutely.
online
Yeah.
dice roller. But for what you're talking about with battle mapping, it's far more technical. The requirements of your PC are
Most
going to be
people
far
do.
greater.
Yeah, a lot of people do play on this. Roll20, I think, is incredibly popular, isn't it? And
That's going to be off-putting for a new player, isn't it? To look at it from that.
that's where they're coming from. If they're from playing online from a video game perspective, then absolutely not. It's kind of
an
like
easy
natural, isn't
jump.
it? Yeah. But if they're coming from maybe being older people that don't like technology or even having it, yeah, maybe it would be.
Whereas when I'm reffing, specifically Shadowrun, which is a slightly futuristic setting, the narrative will lend itself to what people are doing. If people say they're hiding behind doorway, that's a certain amount of cover. If people are just diving into the room, they can say, okay, so is there a sofa? And, if it's appropriate for a sofa to be there, hell with it. Yeah, there's a sofa. You can jump behind that. But that can actually bring people in to engage with the narrative, what's going on, expand the description that I give. You can read stuff from a scenario or an adventure, and it will say, there is a room, it's this many feet by this many feet wide, high, and that can be a lot. If you can throw in any details you want, some pertinent, some random, anything that brings them in, gets them to engage. So it's not just a sweep and clear. It can add narratively.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You can do that online or offline, can't you? You can play like that. I don't think playing online or offline kind of limits you to either of those things. So you can play quite narratively offline or online, and you can play with battle maps.
I find
Offline or
narratively online works better for me, and battle mapping and the more technical side of online play I find off-putting. I'm more inclined to put a map on the table with figures in person than I am online.
Okay, that's interesting because doing it online is easier because you've got the figures to hand. You have to root through the box and come out with you've got this monster and you come out, I don't really have it. I'll have this kind of Lego figure
and
instead.
Everything else, and that kind of exploration level where you're expecting everybody to have the same level of technology as well. I mean, Barry, when we played over the year in COVID, we did Theatre of the Mind.
So, I mean, I don't know if you remember, but actually when we started playing, we had a guy who was going to run a D&D campaign, and he pulled out of it, but I found it very off-putting having it. There was something missing in the kind of tactile experience of moving your miniature and stuff like that. And, someone who doesn't come from a big video gaming background, I just found it a little bit harder to connect with it all. What I would say in that regard, though, there was two things. First of all, folks, don't forget, they're not mutually exclusive. Like, you can play in person and online. This isn't a hard and fast choice. It's, John, as we've established, plays an unhealthy amount, and that is mixed between IRL and online, right? The other thing I found about playing online, which I think was, I don't know if this is unique to me, and as if it is, it might be useless, but it was the point at which that I started to connect more with the role play, because somehow I felt a little bit less self-conscious in my own home.
Yeah.
Rather than sitting around a table with people who are actually physically there with me, that kind of disconnect, which, normally I suppose you would present as a bad thing, actually allowed me to explore that part of the game with a little bit more freedom. And I don't know if you remember the character I was playing, Volts Steiner, was the first character that I've ever actually felt like I connected with, and I truly behaved true to him, to what he would do rather than what I wanted to do. And that was... that was important, and it was a skill that, and I at least hope you'd agree with this, it was a skill that when we come back to playing in real life that I brought with me.
It's interesting. I think putting it like that, I think the online play definitely did bring that out in you. And I can think perhaps that may have been because the nature of online play gives you time and space, but not talked over quite as much as you are in the table. The DM will give you that time, and the other players be quieter than they would round a normal table. Allowed you to develop that character potentially and explore those avenues. Gave you the space to do it.
I definitely felt less self-conscious because I was in my own gaff. It's my house.
Yeah, it's not that way. It's a very comfortable place to play. When I play online, I just go up and sit on the bed, and I do. It's lovely, cup of tea and
pajamas.
Just don't fall asleep.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. Oh,
I don't know what you're talking about.
It was playing too comfortable a position late at night. John, you've been there a few times, haven't you? You see John's snoring away on his bed, and two friends of ours are sleeping in their chairs.
Yeah, sometimes you can wake them up. I remember one time with John, we couldn't, and one of our players returned onto the Zoom channel in the middle of the night, about 3 o'clock in the morning, and John was still there.
Still broadcasting live to the internet.
Yeah, so don't get too comfortable would be especially if you had a long day at work. You will fall asleep. And it's always...
Not if you're reffing, I hope.
You must have been playing an incredibly exciting campaign.
It wasn't even that. It's just like my hours are...
I get it.
Very, very
We've had
different
players
to
fall
most.
asleep at the gaming table before, so it's...
Yeah, that's true. Sitting next to him on the sofa.
Yeah, that's true, because I used to play on your sofa, John. So,
But yeah, as I say, the reason why that happens, because there are longer gaps, I think, in between maybe potentially turns as well. We're playing online, because people do get an extended period at a time. So a lot of people then sometimes sit down and get comfortable in between
and
goes.
You're listening to a story, and that's how kids fall asleep.
I'm grasping at straws here, but I'm thinking that's where it's going.
So, like we have already described, as a new player, particularly the combat side of the game can be quite good for you, because you each get your turn within the initiative order, and you're guaranteed to be asked what you're doing and what your action is, and you're on an equal basis to everyone else. Online play can work very much like that on every element of the game, where a good DM will bring your point of view in or want to know what you're doing. It can work very well as a new player. Online play is a great way to initially get into the hobby and to explore other areas of character development and play. We're here to maybe encourage you to think about playing in person if you're given the opportunity to do so. I think I'd just like to finish off this podcast, really, I suppose, by saying what we prefer. I think it's quite obvious, but Barry, given a choice equally between the two things,
in real life, all day, every day. It's, I understand all of the benefits of playing online and the conveniences, and that is all perfectly valid. And if that's your bag, have a wonderful time. But I would much rather play in real life.
But you would play online, if you had no other options.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still getting the principal benefits are still the same.
Yeah. John, I mean, you're fairly even, aren't you, between time spent online and in person, or maybe more time online these days? Yeah.
I was saying in general, I mean, most of my games are in person, and it's preferable. But yeah, online there are certain pros that for one thing, if you're reffing, and you don't have to cart around your entire shoulder bag of books everywhere you go and damage. Yeah, exactly. You've got a car. I take public transport. It's a thing. So, but yeah, overall, the more in tune you are with people, however that works for you, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, and just for the record, only DMs need suitcases. Players, you're right.
Unless you play Magic.
Stephen.
Yes.
So online or not would be my option to you. You've never been tempted to stay online when COVID?
No,
absolutely not. No, I was looking forward to getting back to playing in person for sure. Yeah, 100%.
And would online play be off-putting to you as a player if there was no other option?
I'm very much unlikely to play online with people I didn't know, to be fair. I probably wouldn't do it. But with people I know that I couldn't get to the gaming table, then great, yeah, sure.
Okay. Yeah, so you can see where we're coming from. We don't want to put you off from online playing. You may not have anywhere to play locally, and so that's the only thing you're looking at. Further podcasts, we're going to try and give you some insight on how you can create those spaces locally in order to play. But for now, I think we're done for another week.
So let's
slice and dice.
Sorry for that time, was it there?
So you get it, you're doing it just right now. Timing good. Delivery, perfect.
RPG Blokes, slice and dice.